Tonight, the provincial government introduces its first bill of the new session, and the opposition is not standing in the way.
Programs say it is a lot.
A Saskatchewan woman's experience with a dubious clinical trial has revealed problems with federal oversight of privately funded studies. As we navigate holiday socializing, a U of S Huskies athlete shares his journey of sobriety through university culture.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, December 2nd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Saskatoon City Councillors wrapped up their first day of budget deliberations. It's the first major task of the newly elected City Council, but most of the budget's heavy lifting has already been done. Jeremy Warren has more.
Saskatoon's new look City Council is trying to make a good first impression. Councillors wrapped day one of the 2025 budget deliberations Monday and did it with good news. The city found extra revenue in investments and dropped the projected property tax increase from 5.84%.
If the additional $2 million in investment income is added to the budget following this presentation, this would bring the property tax requirement to 5.2%.
Budget talks are set for 3 days this week, but much of the heavy lifting is already done. That's because Saskatoon has a multi-year budgeting cycle. Line-by-line scrutiny was done last year. So they just need to figure out unexpected expenses, new projects, and budget increase requests. Saskatoon Police asked for a $4.1 million increase to operating and capital budgets. That passed unanimously.
Something that I think all the community, and I don't want to speak for my colleagues here, but it was something that was loud and clear on the doorsteps over the last 2 months, that people want to see dollars go toward police is one of the priorities that I heard.
Police say they're busier than ever and dealing with more violence on calls. They wanted more officers, and that also means a need for more equipment and patrol cars.
When we consider the provincial funding for the municipal police officers, the 24 that we asked for 2025, it's an opportunity that doesn't just come along. In fact, I've heard it referred to as the opportunity of a generation. And so it's something that I believe Council has really considered carefully.
City Council also approved budgets for Sasktel Centre, TCU Place, and the Saskatoon Public Library. In the coming days, we'll hear more about the financial picture and if Council can shave off any more from what could be a 5.2% tax hike. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan Party government introduced its first bill of the new session, and it's aimed at tackling the cost of living. The Saskatchewan Affordability Act includes income tax changes and other commitments made during the recent election campaign. The opposition NDP says it will not stand in the way of the bill, and that means it can pass later this week. However, the NDP says the government should support its motion to remove the PST on some grocery items. It held a little show and tell today, displaying what is subject to tax.
Fruit. It makes absolutely no sense to be taxing fruit. This fruit is taxed. Same with a veggie platter. These are the kinds of staples that families are relying on. We need to provide some relief, not tax people further and make the cost of living challenge worse.
Obviously, I don't like taxes. I'd love to cut taxes everywhere, but we have to have revenue to operate as a government to provide education and healthcare and highways and social services as well.
Ryder says he's written a letter to federal ministers asking them to ensure the tax changes can take effect as soon as January 1st. He says the federal government fast-tracked changes in its recent affordability measures, so he's expecting the same treatment. A Regina jury has come to a decision about charges against Regina chiropractor Ruben Mans. He was facing 7 counts of sexual assault. Halina Mahalik has the story.
After taking the weekend to deliberate, the jury has returned with its verdict in the trial of a Regina chiropractor. Ruben Mans was accused of sexually assaulting 7 women under his care between 2010 and 2020. Court heard from the complainants and other expert witnesses over the last month. Friday afternoon, after hours of instructions from the judge, the 12-person jury began deliberating. Just before midnight on Sunday, it came back with a verdict. The jury found the 49-year-old guilty on 1 count of sexual assault and not guilty on 5 other counts. 1 count was determined to be a mistrial. Throughout the trial at Regina's Court of King's Bench, the women testified. Mans touched their breasts during appointments. Crown prosecutors argued he abused his position as a trusted medical caregiver. The defense portrayed Mans as a family man who loved his job and did not inappropriately touch his patients. It argued the type of neck stretch Mans performed is part of legitimate chiropractic treatment. Mans also testified in his own defense. He repeatedly denied he acted inappropriately. Mans will be sentenced at a later date. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The search of a Manitoba landfill for the remains of 2 murdered Indigenous women has entered a critical new phase. The bodies of 26-year-old Mercedes Myron and 39-year-old Morgan Harris are believed to have been dumped at a landfill outside Winnipeg.
If somebody goes missing, we go looking. And today, as we move into stage 4, we can say with the utmost of clarity, moral clarity, I would add, that we are living up to that statement.
Today, the first truckload of material from a targeted area of the landfill was delivered to a search facility. Teams are now combing through that material looking for evidence. The targeted area contains more than 20,000 cubic meters of waste dumped around the time the women disappeared in May of 2022. The painstaking search could take more than a year. An Indigenous woman from Prince Albert is having trouble getting accountability for a dubious brainwave training study she was subjected to a decade ago. We first brought you the woman's story in June, and since then, complaints to Ottawa about the study have failed to go anywhere. Turns out, the federal body that investigates research ethics can't touch this one. Jeff Leo tells us why.
Even fans of the program say it is a lot.
Every time Alma Stonestand thinks about the study that she and her daughter China went through a decade ago, she gets angry.
I don't like the feeling of being treated less than human. I like, how can you experiment on another living thing like that and still put your head on your pillow at night and just go to bed without even any worry about it or thought about it? So that kind of, I don't know, brings up a little bit of an anger in me that never seems to go away.
They were recruited into the privately funded study through China's elementary school, a school chosen for its large Indigenous population. The researchers promised the brainwave training program would make the students smarter, happier, and less anxious. The study was approved by the University of Regina. Participants were placed in a darkened room for hours a day, listening to their own brainwaves.
We did not know about that until just when it started happening to us. And by that point, we couldn't turn around.
Clearly, a serious mistake was made.
Medical historian Ian Mosby is one of several experts who said the study lacked informed consent and its methodology was questionable.
Somebody did wrong to us, to our children, and somebody needs to be held accountable for it.
They really exploited the hell out of that population.
Janice Parenti is writing a book on Canada's research ethics system, which she says is an abysmal failure. She says this study is proof.
I could write a book just on this. This one takes the cake, because it's got everything.
In June, she and some of her colleagues filed a complaint with the Secretariat on the Responsible Conduct of Research, a federally funded body established to protect research participants.
The Secretariat will make sure that an investigation is done.
But that's not what happened. In an email, the Secretariat said because the study was privately funded, it's outside the Secretariat's jurisdiction. So, if Stonestand wants to complain, she either has to ask the University of Regina to investigate itself or take the university to court. Parenti says it is shocking that people like Stonestand have nowhere to turn. She says Canada needs to follow the example of the United States, where universities there have embraced a system of independent accreditation so that universities don't end up policing themselves. Jeff Leo, CBC News, Regina.
If you're not all shopped out from Black Friday week, today is actually expected to be one of the biggest online shopping days of the year. It is Cyber Monday. Of course, the online deals have already been rolling out for days now. E-commerce giant Shopify says as of Saturday, people had already an average of more than $200 worth in their online shopping carts. The Retail Council of Canada says Canadian shoppers estimate they will spend nearly $1,000 on holiday shopping this year, which is up from last year. It takes a lot of work out in the very cold weather to make a magical light display come to life. Ian's Christmas Lights, just half a mile south of McLean, has become a Christmas lights hotspot the last few years. Yesterday during the day, they were putting the final touches on this year's display. It is open every night this month from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and supported by a whole bunch of volunteers. Donations are raised and used to brighten the days of the patients of the mental health unit at the Regina General Hospital. We will be back after the break. Welcome back. University life can be tumultuous. Many are experiencing life on their own for the first time while studying, juggling a social life, and trying to have a good time. Those good times usually involve alcohol. Last week, the University of Saskatchewan had their Beyond the Buzz seminars on addiction and substance use with a major focus on alcohol abuse. So we went to campus to hear from students about their relationships with sobriety.
No, I do go out, but I don't drink when I go out. I do different things. Like I go bowling, go on dates with my friends, and I don't know, go on coffee dates with my friends. But I don't know, drinking is not something I think of as to have fun. Yeah.
I just became an athlete, and well, the drinking before was it put a wall in my life. It didn't let me advance, you know. And as soon as I left that behind, I got more productive. I got more into my schooling, which I'm getting better grades.
I'm a neuroscience major, and I think drinking it damages your nerves. It completely destroys it. So I would say as we go on in the future, drinking would be less and less.
My favorite metaphor is no one ever goes up to you and is like, you don't do meth, but can you have bad experiences on meth? But everyone's like, wait, you don't drink? But you can't have any bad experiences with drinking. It's an addictive substance, the same as any other drugs.
Parker Gavlis is a fourth-year defenseman with the University of Saskatchewan men's hockey team. He tells Saskatoon Morning about his path toward sobriety and the ups and downs of staying sober in a university environment.
Maybe alcohol and other substances probably weren't the best thing for me. I kind of knew that kind of early on, and I was kind of noticing it changing my life in a bad way, and I kind of had to make a decision to either accept that I'm one of those people that can't do that, or continue down that path that would have been pretty dark and lonely. And luckily I was able to have a lot of support in my life and people around me that helped me guide me through my recovery. And now today I've been able to be clean for a little bit of time and continue to do that.
You do live a sober life now. How has that changed your life when it comes to, sports and academics and friendships and family relationships?
For me, I can just think of positives. For my family, it's gotten me and my family closer than ever. During the time when I was in still doing some drinking and some partying, our relationships weren't very good, and now I can say that we finally have a good relationship, and that is because of me choosing to live clean and live sober. And with academics, I think it's pretty self-explanatory too. Just being able to have a clear mind enables me to succeed in the classroom. And then with sports, it's just any time that, especially as a high athlete like myself, anytime that you are taking care of your body in a good way, you'll get that performance. So for me, I've seen nothing but positives. Obviously it has some struggles, as every life does, but for me, I'd rather do that clean and sober rather than the alternative.
Tell us more about those struggles, maybe not being able to party like some of your classmates and teammates.
Yeah, for sure. As it's kind of well known. Hockey culture is a kind of always been known to be a party atmosphere and kind of play hard, party hard. But with that being said, my teammates and my coaching staff, they're all aware of my situation and they're very supportive with that. But for sure, it's a struggle because a lot of celebrations and events kind of are tailored towards, well, there's like drinking involved. And for me, it's definitely uncomfortable, but that's when I can kind of lean towards my supports more and reach out to those friends and family if I'm ever struggling, and they help me through that.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. Year-end clearance is on now.
Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. It seems that Mother Nature has a gift on the way for us, and I think we'd like to return to sender.
Yeah, we returned the cold weather, or some of it anyway, from last week. But yeah, another gift on our doorstep now in terms of some messy weather on the way, not just snow, but a little bit of rain as well. And of course, this time of year with the temperatures the way they are, that means that we are possibly in for some freezing rain. We do have a freezing rain warning out for western sections of the Churchill region in through west central Saskatchewan around Meadow Lake. A few millimeters of freezing rain possible. And then further eastward with this system that's moving in, it's the colder air that's going to be bringing us some snowfall, upwards of 10 to 15 centimeters through eastern sections of the Churchill region as we head into tomorrow. Radar already starting to show this afternoon through Monday afternoon here, some of that snow beginning to move in and freezing rain crossing over from Alberta into Saskatchewan. You'll notice though, by and large, we are clearing out through especially southern sections of the province as we head overnight Monday into Tuesday, but it's right along this warm front here from this low pressure system. Again, along from Meadow Lake through Prince Albert as we get into the later hours Monday into early Tuesday, that freezing rain possible. A large portion of the north picking up that snow, but it'll start to taper off even by the wee hours Tuesday morning before eventually it's out of here by kind of later Tuesday afternoon. That whole system actually moving into Manitoba, but then you notice we're left with cloudy skies, and we'll watch this next feature, which is a cold front. We'll get a bump up in temperatures Tuesday, but then it all comes crashing down for Wednesday. As this cold front moves through, high pressure will reinforce that cold air. It will clear things out though, but then that pretty quickly moves out. We have another shot of snow moving through west central and southwestern portions of the province as we head into early Thursday morning, then left with cloudy skies for Thursday afternoon. So for northern Saskatchewan, again, heavier amounts further eastward, 10 centimeters possible in places around Cumberland House and a little bit further north from there. General 5 to 10 centimeters if you're in far northern Saskatchewan. And with that next shot of moisture in the southwest, it's not a whole lot, probably in the 2 to 4 centimeter range, maybe a corridor of 5 centimeters or so in there as well. With this system moving through though, we will have to watch as winds pick up a little bit. So again, a little bit treacherous on highways when you mix in that freezing rain, the snow, and a bit of wind. I think this is a bit of an overestimation of how strong the winds will be. I don't think they'll maybe be over 80 kilometers an hour, but definitely 60 to 70 kilometers an hour for much of the southern half of the province anyway as we get through tomorrow, and that'll hang on a bit as we head into Wednesday. Then we ride a pretty significant temperature roller coaster here over the next few days as we drop sharply into Wednesday, though temperatures will rebound getting over the next few days, and we might even jump back over the freezing mark if you're in Regina and southern Saskatchewan. For Saskatoon, yeah, that's nearly a 20-degree temperature drop between Tuesday and Wednesday. But again, some brisk winds tomorrow, maybe a chance of flurries, but then things clearing out. So we'll ride a bit of a seesaw here, Sam, and then, well, some nicer, more moderate seasonal temperatures look like they're on the way.
Oh, as long as the wind gets out of here, I'm good.
Yeah, it looks like for that front, maybe not too bad for the rest of the week.
Awesome. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
If you're feeling festive, a beautiful Christmas Indigenous Artisan Market is open now today until 7:30 tonight. It's at the Neo Utina Friendship Center, and it's brought to you by them and the Heritage Community Association. It's at 1770 Halifax Street. 30 Indigenous vendors are selling their creations ahead of the holidays, a perfect chance to shop and support local on this Cyber Monday. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Canadian Western Agribition has wrapped up its 53rd annual show in Regina, and the final days drew thousands of people, just as it did all week.
Agribition is such a special event. We get to open the doors to the world. We've got over 60 countries represented coming here. Anytime that we can have, look behind us, the barns are full, people are doing business, it's super important. We've got kids roaming the halls, learning about where their food comes from. Agriculture is so important in Saskatchewan, but the event is so positive. You walk through the halls and people are smiling. It's just such a fantastic event, and we're proud of the role that we can play in the province.
Producers were showing their best cattle, horses, and sheep. Along with the livestock shows, Agribition also offered a range of activities, educational seminars, and trade show exhibitors. The show's CEO says the rodeo was a major highlight with record attendance. This year's shows ran Wednesday to Saturday night, selling out 3 of the 4 performances. And last year, Agribition increased the Saskatchewan economy by $116 million. That's according to an economic impact study by Praxis Consulting. Next year's event will be once again held the last week of November at the Real District. And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather.
And for south and central Saskatchewan, kind of an interesting temperature trend happening tonight, because we're actually going to be seeing these temperatures warm up overnight, probably landing between about -5, -10 by the time we get to the morning hours. For northern Saskatchewan, of course, the story is the snow, 5 to 15 centimeters. And again, especially in the Churchill region, the possibility of some freezing rain through the evening hours and possibly a bit overnight. By and large, this system starts to move out by the early morning hours Tuesday, by the drive to work, or by the time you get your day going. And by the afternoon, maybe even a little bit of some clearing conditions out in western sections, but temperatures staying on the chilly side, a lot of locations in between -15, -20. But for south and central, we'll get up to about the freezing mark by the afternoon. But notice, especially closer to the northern grain belt, where we have a little bit of some snow moving through, those temperatures already dropping back as that cold front starts to move through, and that'll impact southern and central sections by later parts of the day, Sam.
People who do not deal well with temperature swings are going to have a rough week.
This is your heads up.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
That is it for us tonight. For more news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. You can also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.